with a 64 present. A Playguide and video review. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hey there, welcome to another Lemon 64 play guide and review. In this play guide we'll be taking a look at Berzerk Redux version 1.18, produced by Martin Piper and released on his Elements 114 software label originally in 2010, but this version was March 2013. This is actually the cartridge version of Berzerk Redux, so if we press the fire button it will give us the option of saving our high scores to a disk, and then it's on to the main title screen itself. Berzerk Redux opens with a tremendous soundtrack of the introduction sequence, and you can see up to 4 high scores are recorded onto a disc as well. Pressing fire, we can enter the game world itself. Berzerk Redux is among the first run and gun shooters in the world, and in this game we play as a prisoner in the year 3200 in an automated maze surrounded by lethal walls and killer robots known as automasians. According to the backstory, we are the very last human beings sent here on an exploration from Earth, and they found a barren planet apart from a lethal maze full of lethal robots and lethal walls. So having landed on the planet, the robots destroyed their mothership, and it's called the planet Mazion, so unfortunately the rest of the underworld is a huge maze. All we have at our disposal is 2 legs that we can flap around very quickly and leg it away from trouble, and we also have a very nice laser. So we've managed to procure a laser from somewhere, and blowing away those robots will give us 50 credits. At this stage the robots are all yellow and they will not attack and they will not fire lasers, and they are pretty dumb and they'll probably wander blindly into each other, and I'm not having much luck aiming for those either. You can fire on 8 directions in this game, and if you hold down the fire you will be able to stand still and fire in any of those 8 directions, which is a great element and reminds me of Dogs of War on the Amiga. But we do not have a chain gun and lots of melee weapons. No, this is a conversion of a 1980 game. So you'll find very excellent gameplay but very primitive graphics. The voice you can hear is probably that of Evil Otto, and he's the guardian of all this kingdom. He built all this, and he probably threw you down here for all infinity, not expecting you to get out. And as far as I know, you cannot get out of this maze, no matter how hard you try, but I'm at least going to attempt that in this playthrough. All you have to do is to kill all the robots on the room and you'll gain a bonus. You can see Evil Otto will appear from our entrance point, so you have to run and get to the exit before Otto appears, otherwise he'll march across the screen and flatten us into the ground. The automasian robots will also give feedback as well, and all we have to do in this game is to move from screen to screen, from room to room, destroy all the occupants and collect the bonus. And if we can do that, then we're on for a great score. And if we can't do that, well, we're not on for much at all. Once we have over 1,000 credits, then those robots will turn red, and that means that they are now armed. still takes sheer foolhardy behaviour to wander into those lasers, and those guys are still pretty dumb at this stage. But you can see we are on our last life at the moment. But despite all that, we've managed to find a Master Robot room. In here we'll find the Master Robot, and killing him will give us 10,000 points and extra life as well, because we'll gain an extra life every 10,000 points. Unfortunately, we didn't get anywhere in that room, and so that leads us back to the high score table. Let's try that again, and this time let's try to get that robot room early in the game, and let's avoid all these other robots completely until we get there. In this first section of the game, as long as those robots are largely inanimate and docile, we can get away with anything. So as long as we don't shoot those, we can progress through this maze. And in this game, version 1.18, the coder has stabilized the maze, and in the previous versions that only had a limited number of screens, but in this game, well, that has 65,536 screens in a map which is not actually two-dimensional. So there is plenty of screens to be going on with, and every single one of those should be mapped into the game's logic. I'm using the cartridge version at the moment, but once the game loads, all of those screens will be in those 64K memory, so all we can do is move from one to the other, and because those screens are now fixed in this version, then we know exactly where the robot room is, and so let's head towards that Master Robot room. The trick to find the Master Robot room is to head north from the start screen, or up as it may be, and then right on the next screen, up again, and then right, up again, and then right. And having done that for maybe 20 screens, then you'll find the Master Robot room. And if you follow that plan will work every single time, and we can avoid these drones in the meantime, so that life doesn't become hard, and we can collect that 10,000 credits and the extra life, which puts us up to 4 lives before we've even started the game. So this was taken live. This was a live competition entry that I scored during the Lemon 64 Games competition, and that was held, well, a few months ago, and much fun was had by all, particularly me, and this is as far as I've ever got with this game. In fact, I was introduced to this game through the Lemon 64 Games competition, and it probably won't be the first or the last game I'm introduced to through that particular venue. So finally, having got rid of a few more of those drones, the next room is the Master Robot room, and the trick I find is just to stand underneath this platform and fire rapidly. And there you go. Unfortunately, because this maze is in 3D, we cannot loop back to this room simply by doing a loop. No, that will take us onto a new part of the maze. Now the action really begins, and from this point on, and with my 4 lives and that tremendous score, let's see how much score we can get in this game. After each screen has been cleared, we will be given 10 points for every robot that we destroyed on that screen. So if there were 6 robots in the room, we'll get 60 credits. And if we manage to destroy all 12 robots, which is probably the maximum that I've ever seen on the screen, then we'll get 120 credits. And look at this, if we lure Evil Otto across that screen, well, we'll get 100 credits there because we destroyed 10 robots, and Evil Otto will always appear from wherever we entered that screen, so as long as we move far away from that very darn quickly, then he won't be able to catch up. And if we haven't scored over 50,000 credits, he will move at the same speed as us, which means it should be possible to outrun him and leg it before he can destroy us on contact. Everything in this game will destroy us on contact, including the walls, the doors, the robots, the lasers, and Evil Otto himself. So even the robots destroying each other there. Let's see if I can get another one. There you go, 120 credits. So at 20,000 we'll gain an extra life, and you can see even at this stage the robots are blundering into each other, and for some reason I thought it was on target there, but it passed straight through, so you have to get those shots on target, and it doesn't give you much time on every screen, maybe a minute, to investigate that screen and destroy all the robots within it. The controls in Berzerk Redux are absolutely spot on to the original arcade version, and as far as I know, all the elements of the original arcade are in there, as well as one or two added touches, including the new intro music. And I really love what they managed to squeeze out of the SID chip on the intro music to this game. So I like the way that we can lure the enemy, the main evil Otto, across and destroy the robots that we didn't get. And I like the responsiveness and the feel of this game. At certain score checkpoints, the robots will get a little bit smarter and they change colour to denote that. So when the robots change colour, that's a warning to get a move on, blow those guys away. Even at this stage, they will still blunder into each other, but that won't always matter because the time is getting tight and we can't always escape Otto in time. It will always give us the same time on every single screen. It's just that the time it takes to destroy many robots, which are difficult to hit, it means it's very tough to get in there and destroy them all before Otto appears. And so you have to leg it and run like crazy and run away every given opportunity, because every life saved is an opportunity to gain an extra life with score later on. So you don't want to have to sacrifice lives in this game to jeopardize your way through the maze. And as I say, it would be great if there was an end screen to this, but I don't think there is. And when you die, the maze seems to be respawned exactly in the same position. So you would have thought that they could have programmed an ending screen when the guy actually gets out. But because the maze is so huge, that might not always be very easy to find, even if that does exist. So you can see the graphics are pretty primitive, but they are arcade legitimate. And I have seen this game running in the arcades in Blackpool recently, so I do have first-hand experience of this game, and it is very, very close to the original. I find the best tip is to exit to the right of every level and keep moving right, because if you go right to left, then sometimes it's more difficult, I find. So aiming in a straight line as well, you won't see me moving in the diagonal very often, and firing in the diagonal, I tend to aim and fire in a straight line, and that's very two-dimensional thinking, as probably Captain Kirk would say, but yes, I fire in a straight line and that gets rid of the bulk of the enemies 90% of the time. Sometimes if you fire on the diagonal, that is a little unwieldy, and for some reason that is unwieldy on some joysticks, so sometimes that can be more hassle than it's worth. Let's look at that again, and we can clearly see that the robot moves straight towards us as soon as we enter that room, and there is precious little room for us to maneuver with all those other robots attacking us at the same time. And that's why I say moving right to left is probably not a good idea, because those scenarios can creep in, but somehow moving left to right across these screens is safer. And so I wouldn't recommend moving up or down either, but if you have to, definitely go up or down rather than to move to the left. Luckily we cannot go to the left on screens that we've appeared from the left, so that blocks that avenue off. But that's slightly unfortunate that we can't go around the maze at our leisure, and the entrance will always be blocked off in every case, but then it's a non-3D map, so maybe that was essential. The original Berserk arcade game was released by Alan McNeil and published by Stern Electronics in the arcade in 1980. It was modelled on the basic game Daleks, which I've actually played on a PC in BASIC, and that was known as Robots in the US. And the name Berserk actually comes from Fred Saberhagen's Berserk sci-fi novel collection, and I haven't read Fred Saberhagen's sci-fi novel collection, but I'm sure that is well done. The game itself was mostly produced and coded by Martin Piper, and as far as I know this is his only game on the C64, and to help him, well, Gropaz apparently helped him with the graphics. And that great music you heard over the intro was created by Necropolo, and I certainly appreciate that.
Intruder alert, intruder alert. The humanoid magnetic
On the Commodore 64, you may notice we've just gone through the 20,000 barrier, and that gives us another life. That's another 10,000 gained the hard way, and we gained another 60 bonus as well. So sometimes by a mixture and a combination of tactics and skills, we can advance in this game, and if we survive, we'll get those bonus lives. This is definitely recommended. So we've got 3 lives at the moment, 2 plus the one we are actually on at the moment. And it's very quick to get through lives in this game. Sometimes when it all goes wrong, it all leads to disaster. And well, unlucky there to gain those extra few credits. And we won't get the bonus, remember, unless we clear every single robot from these screens, so we won't get anything unless they all disappear. Some of those are very difficult to hit at this stage, and some of those are an absolute joke, because we can simply let Evil Otto take care of it for us. Not only was this game among the first run-and-gun shooters to ever appear in the world, but this game also was among the first to feature full speech vocabulary. The English version appears to have 30 words vocabulary, and Evil Otto and the robots will say kill him, attack him, kill the chicken. If you don't manage to hit any robots on a screen, they'll say get the chicken, and they will also have a variety of other words, and you'll probably hear most of those as I'm playing this game. And each of those words has its own pitch and speed as well. So with pitch and speed variances, those 30 words probably add up to over 100 in the game, as the different elements say things in different ways. So 30 words is still a great vocabulary, and they reckon that this cost a fortune in the 1980s, when virtually none of the original arcade machines had speech synthesis, and games like Ghostbusters and Impossible Mission wouldn't appear on a C64 for many years to come. I couldn't find any magazine ratings for this game, but I'll definitely give it 9.5 out of 10. For me, I would have preferred an exit room and maybe closer Master Robot rooms, but apart from that, I think it's a great game. And that's game over. So close to that 25,000 credits, but so far away. And so thank you once again for viewing 1164 Play Guide and Review. I hope you've figured out how to play this game, and I hope this encourages you to have a go at yourself.